When you think about new inventions, your mind probably goes to exciting new advances that make modern lives easier, but not always. Here are some inventions humanity would have been better off without. It's hard to imagine a world without social media. Humanity has come a long way from 1970s Usenet chat groups, letter writing, and carrier pigeons. But if you've ever had a social media account, you know things aren't always sunshine and rainbows. The platforms are rife with trolls and spreaders of misinformation. A 2023 study published in Computers and Human Behavior acknowledged that misinformation is a problem as old as human history, but noted the game-changing impact of social media, which makes it easy to spread falsehoods fast and furiously.
You're fake news.
Social media may also have a negative impact on the mental well-being of young adult users. Authors of a 2023 review in Curious found a link between social media usage and depression in young adults, as well as anxiety and stress. In the early 1900s, scientists discovered that adding hydrogen to liquid vegetable oils keep them in a semi-solid state. Think goo or Vaseline, but edible, even when they're not frozen or refrigerated. It's called partial hydrogenation, and it was a godsend to food manufacturers because it extended the shelf life of food products while improving their appearance, mouthfeel, and taste. And they were cheaper too. Margarine, for instance, was cheaper than butter or lard. It's no surprise then that partially hydrogenated oils quickly became a standard ingredient in commercial baked goods and snacks. But if you think that sounds too good to be true, you're right. Partial hydrogenation creates trans fatty acids or trans fats. If you've been paying attention over the last, say, 20 years, you hear trans fats and immediately think bad. Or at least you should. By the 1990s, researchers connected the consumption of trans fats and a bunch of serious health conditions, including elevated low-density lipoprotein or LDL cholesterol. That's a bad one, the one that raises your risk of cardiovascular disease as well as obesity and diabetes. And if that doesn't turn you off trans fats, here's a newsflash. Foods that contain partially hydrogenated oils also tend to be high in calories, sugar, fat, and sodium.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger!
In 2015, the Food and Drug Administration declared that trans fats are generally not recognized as safe, and that food manufacturers shouldn't use them. But despite urging from the World Health Organization and other watchdog groups, trans fats have yet to be completely eliminated from store shelves. During the early 1900s, home air conditioners and refrigerators relied on chemicals like ammonia and sulfur dioxide. Things that, if they leaked, could definitely kill you. Then researchers discovered a safer alternative, Freon 12. Freon 12 quickly caught on in the appliance market and became the only coolant permitted in American public buildings. It was cheap too, so it was soon added to products that came in aerosol cans, stuff like hairspray and spray paint. By the 1970s, companies worldwide were producing almost 1 million tons of CFCs per year. Then scientists discovered the downside. And it's a big one. It turns out that once CFC molecules reach the stratosphere, ultraviolet radiation from the sun breaks them down, setting off a chain reaction that destroys the ozone layer, that thing that protects us from that very radiation. In other words, without the ozone, you wouldn't want to go outside.
Whose side are you on, Eddie?
What? What sides are there?
Mine or the ozone's? Choose one!
A 1985 paper in Nature revealed a hole in the Antarctic ozone layer caused by CFCs. 2 years later, the Montreal Protocol was established to phase out CFCs from manufacturing. The message was, ladies and gentlemen, put down the Aquanet. Maybe some people did, but a 2023 paper published in Nature reported a worldwide increase in the use of CFCs between 2010 and 2020. Despite the fact that they're both derived from corn syrup and high-fructose corn syrup have one key difference. Corn syrup primarily gets its sweetness from glucose, which is less sweet than table sugar or sucrose. And sweet sells, so the sweeter the better. That's why food manufacturers looking for a cheaper sugar substitute to add enzymes to corn syrup to convert part of its glucose into fructose, which, surprise, is sweeter than both glucose and sucrose. This is why you're likely to find high-fructose corn syrup listed among the ingredients of many pastries, sodas, juices, and condiments at the supermarket. But be warned, the stuff may taste delicious, but there is a definite downside when it comes to your health. According to registered dietitian Kate Patton, high-fructose corn syrup can increase fat production in the liver. She explained, "Our body can only absorb and use a certain amount of fat, so the rest of it gets stored as triglycerides, a form of fat in your blood, or as body fat. This translates to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease and diabetes, as well as elevated blood pressure and cholesterol levels."
I can't keep doing this forever.
It's been 20 seconds.
Call it.
Authors of a 2017 paper in PLOS also found a link between high-fructose corn syrup consumption and metabolic disorder and impaired dopamine function. In simple terms, it can make you depressed, ruin your sleep, and even give you restless leg syndrome. There's plenty more research to be done on the unhealthy effects of this stuff. try to avoid it. But if you enjoy highly processed foods, it's pretty near impossible. Having a virtually limitless selection of tasty, competitively priced meals served hot and fast is a godsend for many a busy professional, cooking, adverse homebody, or hungry teenager. But research shows that high amounts of calories, sugar, sodium, trans fats, and other less than healthy components in fast food can cause a wide range of health problems, including high blood pressure, elevated blood sugar, inflammation, weight gain, and nutrient deficiencies, as well as an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, dementia, diabetes, and different kinds of cancer. And those are just the catastrophic menu highlights. There are other side effects of fast food consumption too. Take the packaging waste. Experts estimate that food delivery and to-go meal packaging makes up a significant chunk of the millions of metric tons of plastic waste generated in the US alone. And while fast food tends to be an inexpensive option, it comes back to haunt you at the doctor's office. According to a 2019 study in PLOS Medicine, over $50 billion per year in healthcare expenses come as the result of that quick, easy stop at the drive-thru on your way home. Synthetic plastic, or for short, plastic since it's not found in nature, first appeared in the early 20th century. Manufacturers were searching for something to replace the finite, often endangered natural resources like ivory, horn, and tortoiseshell that they'd been using to make all kinds of stuff.
Just one word.
Yes, sir.
Are you listening?
Yes, I am.
Plastics.
Plastic, which is made by subjecting specific chemicals to intense pressure and heat, quickly became popular. And why not? It's durable, easy to produce, and cost-efficient when it comes to mass-producing everything from appliance parts to toys to household decor. Plastic was here to stay. Unfortunately, we mean that literally.
The oceans are swimming in it. Rivers are choked with it. Coastlines are collecting it.
It takes an average of 2 decades for a plastic bag to decompose. Meanwhile, plastic toothbrushes, diapers, and coffee pods can last for up to 500 years. And as the plastic waste accumulates in oceans, forests, and everywhere else, it disrupts entire ecosystems, harms wildlife, and isn't good for human health either. And it's not just the garbage. The creation and incineration of plastic drives climate change. But wait, there's more. Microplastics, tiny particles invisible to the naked eye, end up everywhere. Inside our water supply, inside our bodies, and even as far as Antarctica, a place with no permanent human population. You might not have heard of the chemical engineer Thomas Midgley Jr., but chances are you've been affected by one of his inventions, and not in a good way. New scientists called him a one-man environmental disaster, and they're right. Midgley was involved in the invention of CFCs that are punching a hole in the ozone layer, and he was also the brains behind leaded gasoline. In the 1920s, Midgley, an employee of General Motors, pioneered the process of adding tetraethyl lead to gasoline to improve vehicle performance and eliminate the annoying knocking sound in engines with poor combustion. Despite concerns from scientists, medical professionals, and lead experts, Midgley insisted it was safe, claiming, "The average street will probably be so free from lead that it will be impossible to detect it or its absorption." Wrong. Cars using leaded fuel were emitting literal poison gas that was making people seriously ill, including children. Kids exposed to the stuff had developmental problems, including impaired cognitive function. Over the next few decades, countries began banning the use of leaded gasoline for road vehicles, ending in 2021 with Algeria. But it's not gone. Leaded gasoline is still used in some airplanes. In 1939, Swiss chemist Paul Hermann Mueller introduced the world to a chemical whose technical name has 11 syllables, so we'll just call it by its commercial name, DDT. It was a powerful insecticide that, as they say, killed bugs dead. And from farmers to the mosquito-adverse average citizen, everyone loved it. It was widely used during World War II and remained the insecticide of choice for many Americans going forward. There were plenty of benefits when it came to reducing insect-borne diseases like yellow fever, typhus, and malaria. So much so that DDT was marketed as a benefactor of all humanity, winning Mueller the Nobel Prize in 1948.
We must begin to count the many hidden costs of what we are doing.
But as it turned out, DDT wasn't just deadly to insects. It was also highly toxic to marine life and birds, greatly contributing to the near extinction of species like the bald eagle and peregrine falcon. And humans weren't exempt. DDT had severe negative impacts on the development of unborn children, and even increased the risks of certain cancers. And, as a bonus feature, it's non-biodegradable, so it stays in the body, hiding in fat reserves. Armed with this knowledge, conservationists rallied against the continued use of DDT. Chief among them was American biologist Rachel Carson, whose 1962 book Silent Spring drew attention to the perils of using the synthetic chemical.
She was accused of being a communist, of being a hysterical female Luddite.
Carson was right. A decade after the book's publication, the US banned DDT for agricultural use. Recreational tobacco use has been around for thousands of years, but with the invention of cigarette rolling machines in the late 19th century, smoking experienced a boom in popularity. It took way less time to buy a pack of smokes than it did to roll one, which meant more time to smoke. And it was cool. Just look at an old cigarette ad. You'd think smoking was healthy, manly, sexy, and safe.
So what we need is a smoking role model, a real winner.
Indiana Jones meets Jerry Maguire.
Right, on 2 packs a day.
But by the mid-20th century, the growing mountain of evidence about smoking's ill effects on human health was becoming hard to ignore. In 1964, the U.S. Surgeon General released a report firmly establishing smoking's role in significantly increasing the risk of lung cancer. It even noted that smokers had a 70% increased mortality rate compared to non-smokers. And in recent times, much has been said about the connection between smoking and negative effects on virtually every part of the body. Experts estimate that more than 480,000 people living in the U.S. die each year as a direct result of smoking or exposure to secondhand smoke.
It's an e-cigarette. Care to vape? Don't you want to be one of the cool kinderen?
It's also worth noting that e-cigarettes, a fairly recent invention to help smokers quit, also cause health problems, prompting the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to state quite plainly, no tobacco products, including e-cigarettes, are safe.